So I got an idea about the Trae Young situation. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Wizards Latest. First off, big thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's episode. Once again, shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring the video. I'm your host, Ben Robertson, and today I want to talk about what I think the Wizards should do with Trae Young here this year. We'll jump into why I think there's more moves coming on the way before the trade deadline. We'll take a look at what Alex Sarr has been doing over the last 5 games, courtesy of Underdog Fantasy, in preparation for tonight's matchup against our buddy Jordan Poole and the Pelicans. And as always, we'll take a look at the comment section from the previous video. Appreciate all of you that are consistently down in that comment section. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons while you're down there. And again, let's throw out what I think about Trae Young here this season and what the Wizards should do with him. Yesterday, I was looking at what kind of he looked like in terms of his on-court perspectives with the team, essentially looking ahead to next season. And everybody kind of thinking, it's been reported that Trae probably not going to play too much this year, going to get ramped up next year. And that's going to be sort of his audition for the league. And that kind of tells me, first of all, I got to switch my mindset and put Trae Young kind of in my CJ McCollum category of life as essentially a player that, while I actually think fits a little bit better than CJ did with this current group, is pretty much on a countdown to when he gets traded again, when he gets flipped by the flip king of DC, Will Dawkins. So, and again, we touched on yesterday, Will Dawkins, that is, essentially started with Bradley Beal on a horrible deal and has turned him all the way into Trae Young while acquiring draft capital along the way. But again, I've looked ahead to sort of next year. And again, that's what's being reported. That's what most people think. But what if over the next month or so, after tonight, there will be about 12 games in between now and the trade deadline. Trae Young played in maybe 6, maybe 8 of those games. What if he used this as the audition? Actually showed the league, hey, I'm healthy. I could play this season. And if it sounds crazy that he would change the entire league's opinion about him in, less than a month's time, well, if I told you a month ago that he would get traded to DC and there wouldn't even be a pick included in the entire deal, you would have called me crazy. So, if it doesn't work, well, you just go back to what you were going to do with Trae anyway. Essentially say, oh, he's got contusions on his thigh and his hamstring is hurting him. And obviously, if he's actually not healthy, this is off the table. You want a fully healthy Trae out there. But seriously, again, I think you saw Kispert and you saw McCollum not play the night they got traded. And I think what that tells you is, hey, Atlanta was probably doing the same thing with a Trae Young. I know he sprained his MCL earlier this year, but they're not going to play him and risk him actually getting hurt and really not being able to get rid of him like they wanted to. And I think that's why you probably see him with, zeros in that minute category if you Google his name over the last couple of weeks. So my idea, again, play Trae Young, 6, maybe 8 games between now and the deadline. See what he can do. See how he looks with this current group. And then you go the course. If there's no suitors, nothing happens before that deadline, then you go the course of essentially shutting him down for the season. And as we talk about that deadline and we talk about Will Dawkins, he has shown just an aggression, not just at the deadline, but at any time there's moves kind of being available to be made. And I think there's more moves on the way from Will Dawkins before the deadline shows up. He's shown us his colors. He likes to flip, guys. I called him the flip king of DC. And the 2 people I have my eyes on because I think they could legitimately help a contending squad right now where they are at in their careers. Marvin Bagley, and the second one, it hurts me to say as well, but Justin Champagnie. I think there's going to be some calls about. Now, in the case of Champagnie especially, there's got to be draft capital, preferably a first rounder on the way back. But I don't think the Wizards are done on those telephone lines with other teams as that trade deadline gets closer and closer. Before we jump into Alex Sarr over the last 5 games, fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download the app today and use promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BASKETBALLFAN. Underdog, make picks, win money. And like I said, I think we're going to have a little bit of fun with that Underdog sponsorship the guys at FanArch have cooked up. Shout out to both of them. And, of course, FanArch and Underdog. And let's take a look at what Alex Sarr has been doing here over the last 5 games. And here's what I'm looking for, hoping for, I guess I should say, from Alex Sarr moving forward. Now that he's consistently back in the lineup, remember early December was kind of in and out for him. But while the block numbers have still been awesome, still leading the league outside of Wemby, who doesn't qualify in terms of the games he's played in blocks per game, I'm looking for Alex Sarr to get a little bit more consistent in the points and rebounds categories moving forward this year, especially now that he is regularly back on the court and in the lineup. Let's maybe get close, back to that double-double number again. It seemed like, especially first couple months of the year, it was nightly, right up around 20 points a game. And tonight, in this New Orleans Pelicans matchup, you're facing Derek Queen and Zion Williamson as kind of the front court for the Pels, and I think that should favor an Alex Sarr. He should be able to shoot right up and over those guys, and I'm hoping for him to have a big night this evening. Remember, drop your reactions to that matchup if you're viewing this post-game, either on a Friday night or over the weekend. We should be chatting about it a little bit on Monday. Let's see. Let's check the schedule. Are the Wizards in action after that as well? I guess I should have had that ready to go. You would think I would just have our schedule locked in by now at this point, but we're living day to day for the most part, guys. Oh, we'll be chatting about the Phoenix matchup, our pick swap hopeful. It's not really looking likely at this point. They take on the Wizards. Wizards on the road, as a matter of fact, on Sunday. So Monday, we'll have a couple of Wizards games to chat about here on the page. Appreciate all your support here on the road to 1K. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't done so already. Before we move on just a little bit, of course, the Wizards getting ready to face, you already heard it, the Pelicans here this evening. Jordan Poole going to be on the slate, and he talked a whole bunch of noise, a whole bunch of nonsense about the DMV and the DC fans when he left and was traded to the Pelicans. And it was weird to me at the time because it really seemed like he had left on pretty good terms, right? Everybody was talking about his mentorship to some of the young guys. Bub Carrington, Bilal had really gotten close with Poole, and it was weird that he pretty much just burned his bridges after that trade. But the fact is, he's played a lot worse for New Orleans. He's mostly been off the bench, has missed some games, but the scoring average down, the efficiency numbers, the percentages way down. And by the way, everyone for tonight's matchup should be back in the lineup outside of a Cam Whitmore. Again, assuming he's out for the season, although that's not official. Also means Keyshawn George is back, but Cam Whitmore, the only name on the injury report. Jump into the comment section real quick. There was a few I know I wanted to get back to. First off, let's respond to Stuart O'Flaherty, and he was worried about Trae Young getting hunted on defense. And I realize this is, regardless of the first segment of my, the episode today, probably looking ahead just a little bit to next year. But My response to that is, first of all, the Wizards are, still the second worst defense in the NBA, and Trae Young might get hunted, but if you have four capable defenders, or maybe even really strong defenders around him, you can build your defense to protect that guy just a little bit. The fact of the matter is, I saw Steph Curry, and I'm not calling Trae Young Steph Curry, but I saw Steph get hunted on his way to four different, NBA championships. Deep Hizzy 99 says the only thing I'm worried about, I'm paraphrasing here, is a max contract with a Trae Young. I don't think that is where we headed. This Wizards front office hasn't been the one shelling out max contracts. They've either inherited them in the case of a Bradley Beal or traded for them and flipped them again. I think that's where a Trae Young is headed. And then shout out to Joseph Gadsden back down in that comment section. Insane take, I gotta say though, that you think Trae Young is better than a John Wall, but keep those takes coming. I love them. I will say the Trae Young and John Wall comparisons, I wonder if you ask a non-Wizards fan or maybe a fan, somebody that wasn't a huge generation fan of basketball in kind of the generation that John Wall was in his prime, like a high schooler today or a middle schooler today. I wonder if you ask them what their take on that subject would be, because the accolades are pretty close. One All-Star game is the difference. They both have an all NBA third team on their resume. I think as Wizards fans, we would say John Wall is a much more complete player. But Trae does have that Eastern Conference Finals run on his to his name that might stick in the recent memory of some NBA fans. But we'll keep you posted on all the Wizards action and the latest and greatest from our team here in the DMV. I appreciate all your support here on the page. Do me a favor, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Once again, big thanks over here, actually. Big thanks to Underdog Fantasy. Appreciate all your support here on the road to 1K. And thanks for watching another episode of Wizards Latest.